me for 1 second.
It's 2 minutes. 5 minutes.
Nathan, you can start reading.
Call the meeting to order. Mr. Pledge to the flag.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
I shall wait for the roll call until the boss gets back.
Or you can do it in a reverse order. We can do it slowly.
I think we can. Just
What are we
like,
doing?
Roll call.
Okay.
Wendy Burden,
Here.
Julie Dakota, absent. Eric Hames.
present.
Nathan LaVertue.
Here.
Theodore Secor.
Present.
What did you say?
I said here.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, I guess I'm back in the hot seat here. I make a motion to
Well, I
approve
was
the,
reviewing it.
oh, the agenda?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can make a motion.
I make a motion to approve the agenda, but adding where it says other, we are going to talk about the, getting an HVAC split for the basement. And we're also going to have a vote on approving Andrew Ellis for the ZBA.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi. Teddy, Town Board Liaison Reports, por favor.
I'm reading for Julia too, correct?
Are you wearing like a Superman thing?
I'm wearing a scarf. I'm reading for Julia too, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, first off, Haunted Fortress, we did not meet this month, but we will be meeting in April. So April 2nd is our next meeting, so nothing to report there. Zoning Board of Appeals, they did interview our Andrew, who was just mentioned, to replace the vacant seat. The Rathjen Charwell Drive matter was discussed, but they are again extending the public hearing to April, given that attorneys are still in discussion. The following variances were approved: 1209 Bull's Head Road and 181 Cold Spring Road. And there was a discussion about a variance for Cold Spring Road, but a different property right across from 181. I think it's 160 Cold Spring Road. 160 Cold Spring Road. That was clarified by the building inspector, so there was no need for a variance. And next month will be a public hearing on 902 Dual Road. That'll be a variance. Climate Smart Communities Task Force, we have started filing and evaluating items on our task sheet. We're doing very well. But in exciting news, we are cooperating with Stanford Grange 808 to do farm tours in the near future.
Oh, wonderful.
So apparently in the past, decades ago, there were farm tours in the town of Stanford and possibly Dutchess County. So we are working with Stanford Grange because they're really the only Grange in this area left, and we're going to be doing farm tours.
Wait, this is with CAC or?
CSC, Climate
the-
Smart Communities.
No, I know what it stands for, but, so that, I'm just surprised it's that group and not CAC, but that's great.
Because the NRI.
Oh, right,
Yeah, they're still, I'll mention that.
okay.
So the CAC, the Climate Conservation Advisory Commission. Curtis DeVito and Julia Decato are in discussion regarding a drinking water source protection grant, which Pine Plains actually received, I believe, for a quadrant. There's some difficulty because Stanford does not technically have any public drinking water system, so we more than likely do not qualify, but it's still worth it to look into. Hang on. Natalie O'Malley expressed concern regarding Huns Lake's usage of herbicides, and she raised an interesting point that herbicides are not used to necessarily treat a problem, they're used to put a Band-Aid on a problem that's really underlying. So you're using herbicides in the short term, but there's a deeper underlying issue that needs to be addressed. So there's probably going to be discussions between the CAC and Huns Lakes Association regarding what really the matter is, why herbicides need to keep being applied. I think it's biannually they talk about or something. I forget the number, but we can ask.
Just the milfoil.
I think I'm trying to remember, I think we do it every year in a different part of the lake. It's to control the milfoil, and it's DEC approved, so
Yes.
Hunt's Lake Association has gone through a lot of research and discussions with the DEC because they had to get a permit to do it.
Okay.
That's what you-
Curtis DeVito, the chair, noted the progress being done on the natural resources inventory and that a second quarter public update was necessary per the terms of the grant that was given to us, so that will more than likely be held in May. Next meeting, also at the CAC, there will be a Winnicke Land Trust update, some of the things that they've been doing in town, which would be interesting.
They just got more properties.
Yes. Further, there was discussion about expanding or looking into protections of our critical environmental areas, for example, the wildlife preserve. And discussion is still ongoing for possible pollinator maze at the rec park. The original site that was discussed probably won't work, but that discussion hasn't been killed yet, so there might still be a nice spot for it. Finally, second to last, roadside cleanup has been tentatively scheduled for April 26th this year, barring any other town events interfering with that. Although you don't need just one day to clean up the roads, they always need help. And finally, I was at the meeting and I had noted that despite our efforts and my riveting speech I gave at Albany, the governor had approved the Iroquois Pipeline compressor expansion project. So we had 8 representatives there giving talks about why it was a bad idea, and the governor this February actually approved the project. So that's my report.
Thank you, Judy.
Okay, the planning board met on February 26th. There was a public hearing on the minor subdivision at 154 Knight Road. Comments included concerns about wetlands and amphibian life on the property, as well as the ingress-egress of the parcel, given difficulty in sighting on a one-lane road. A conditional approval was granted by the planning board after they determined a negative declaration on the Secor. Approval was contingent on BOH assessment and approval, as well as clarifying DEC guidance on the wetlands amphibian population effect. Other business included a minor subdivision on the property at 177 Sister Hills Road. No major comments except around the arrangement of the new driveways. A public hearing with the engineer and surveyor would be required. Also, there was a lot line alteration at 483 Cold Spring Road, and there were no comments. A special use permit for 57 Wendover Lane was being sought for the construction of a guest cottage on 10 acres. Planning board advised them to apply for a permit for a duplex, which would not need a special permit. The property owner plans to rent the duplex out. Pre-application conference was had for a minor subdivision consolidation lot line alteration on Barton Lane. The planning board advised to have an engineer review the current site. The planning board will meet again on March 26th.
Thank you, Eric.
You're welcome.
The Recreation Committee met last evening. A couple of small updates. So the Easter egg hunt, as previously mentioned, is April 19th.
Oh, boy.
That will
I love that.
that will begin at 10:30 in the morning. They will start doing some of the egg hiding at 9.
Is it going to be at Cold Spring again, or
No, it's going to be at the playground.
back at the, okay.
Yeah.
Great.
So if folks want to join at 9:30 or so to help, they're more than welcome to show up. The adult trivia night was a success. They sold out. They already are working on plans to do another one in May. They just need to confirm with the trivia host
Fabulous.
their availability. Still working on a bunch of other programs. They had a recipe for kids last night. They have one more of those left. On May the 4th, they have the Mommy and Me Tea Party. They were joking about it being Star Wars themes because it's May the 4th. They are still having open registrations for the summer program. So Lauren had commented that she felt that she was a little bit short on registrations on where she thought she would be. But in discussion, they also realized that Pine Plains still hasn't made an announcement on if they're going to have a program or not. So it's still just mid-March. There's still a lot of time for people to sign up. People are still figuring out what their summer plans are. But the one thing that was interesting to note that it's almost skews a little bit more local, but it's about a 50-50 split between local resident and non-resident.
Oh, so they already opened it up to non-resident?
It's
Okay.
open up to non-resident. There's been one candidate for the assistant director role. Doesn't seem like a good fit, probably more for a counselor role, a camp counselor role. And there's still some other roles that she's looking at. And the next meeting is on the 9th. It was a fairly short meeting.
Okay. Oh, so me. Fire commissioners met February 18th. And the big news to take out of it were there were 6 fires, 25 rescues, and 1 motor vehicle accident. These guys are really busy, guys and women. The zoning commission met on February 19th, and we are continuing our discussions on battery energy storage systems. If you remember, we went into a moratorium, I don't know, 5 months ago. We had a request from a company about putting in these are lithium large battery storage facilities. And the town, we're so not savvy yet and needed a lot of education to decide if it was something that we even thought Stanford should get involved with, that the board passed a moratorium, and so the zoning commission has been having discussions about if we want to move forward and what a legislation would look like. And I have to say, at the moment, it seems that we're leaning towards not wanting to have them here. But whatever happens in the zoning commission still comes up to the town board. So, but that's where we are. And then we're also continuing our discussion on home occupations, which is a delicate and kind of loaded subject. So we've been talking about it on and off for a long time, and at some point we will offer up an ordinance to the town board. So that's that. As far as the financials, all of the tax revenue has now been distributed. We're passed through for the fire company, the ambulance company, the library, and Bengal Lights, and we have also obviously taken the distribution for the highway and for the town. So taxes, Charlie's still taking in late donations for people who missed the deadline. And at some point, we may get some more revenue for late fees, but at the moment, we're all done with that. And I think that's all I have to say. So I will open the floor for privilege of the floor. If anyone has anything they want to tell the town board, just step up to the microphone, please, and give your name and address to Rita Mary. And if that's not happening, then I will close privilege of the floor and move on. So we have 2 public hearings scheduled for tonight. The first one is on proposed law number 2 of 2025, which is amending chapter 144 of the town code to authorize a property tax exemption for the creation of accessory dwelling units under section 421P of the New York State property tax law. So the state came through and created a law that we could opt into or not, that would give a property owner a tax exemption if they go to the expense of creating an ADU, and an ADU will be used not for short-term rentals, but for long-term rentals, or for a relative, but, so we had introduced that law, and tonight we're having a public hearing on it. If anyone is here to speak about that law,
I need a motion to open.
I would make a motion to open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
If there's no one here to speak about to speak at the public hearing, I will make a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Kenny.
All in favor?
Aye.
Then we have a second public hearing on proposed law number 3 of 2025, amending chapter 144 of the town code again to extend property tax exemptions for volunteer firefighters and volunteer ambulance workers to those serving neighboring communities under section 466L of the New York State Real Property Tax. Ooh, Property Acts Law, Rita. Oh, well, what's a T? So we extend this property tax exemption goes to our firefighters and our first responders who live in Stanford, but we have Stanford residents who serve on neighboring towns' fire companies. So we are making that property tax exemption available to those firefighters. That's what that law is. And I make a motion to, or did I already do this? To open the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Is anyone here to speak to that law? Okay, I make a motion to close this public hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Moving on to new business, I would like to take a vote on local law number 2. I'm not going to read it. We all know it. I make a motion to what? To accept? To approve of local law number 2 of 2025.
I'll second it.
Is there anything we have to do about the step vote on
I'm
it?
just double checking the local law numbers.
It's 2. Please let it be 2.
For the ADU.
Yes.
Yeah.
We're going to do roll call on this. Wendy Burton,
Yes.
Julia Dakota absent, Eric Hames.
Yes.
Nathan LaVirtue,
Yes.
Teddy Secord.
Yes.
Local law is passed. Number 2. Now I make a motion to approve local law 3 of 2025, which is the volunteer firefighter law.
Second.
Wendy Burton,
Yes?
Julia Dakota absent, Eric Hames.
Yes.
Nathan LaVirtue,
Yes.
Teddy Secord.
Yes.
Okay, now we get to have some fun. I personally am extremely excited about Burdick Park. This has been a labor of love that, goodness, did we start this 4 years ago?
Yeah.
So it had
Just a little baby.
It's a little baby. I was a little baby. Anyway, it's been a labor of love. We had a long gestation period, but we are ready to move forward. It's very exciting. There's been hard work done by that row of the audience, plus Charlie Shaw, and I don't know who else isn't here. Mark Legas to begin with, but sadly, we lost Mark to Troy. In any case, we're going to have a presentation by Judith and Frank. Where's the map, Rita?
Here it is. We're going to put it up.
Right here.
Okay. Oh, there's,
We're going to pass these around.
okay. I want to thank you in advance for all the work that you're doing.
It's fun, it's good, and I think it's going to be wonderful.
It's going to be a great little pocket park.
Big pocket, though.
Put it in your
Big pocket. With a lot of
I think Frank is going to hold it. We hope to get a,
Easel? I had an easel at home, I would have brought it.
Oh,
Thank you, thank you.
don't we have an easel somewhere?
That's all right.
Not that I'm aware of.
Do you know who's going
Jeff,
to
do
be
you
upset
want to be
about
the
it?
easel, or is Frank going to be the easel?
Be the easel, thank you.
Thank you, Frank.
Oh, we can put it on here.
Yeah, you could put it on there.
Number two? I just have a rough draft from last month.
Yeah.
I wrote on it.
Frank?
Thank you.
Okay, Judith.
Okay, well, the concept of Burdick
all
Park
that.
is really.
Yeah,
I'm not exactly the tallest. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Probably too loud.
Better copy?
So the concept of Burdick Park was really to put in a little nature park where people could sit, could walk. There'll be an amphibian pond where the children can, or anybody can look at frogs, tadpoles, anything like that. There'll be a pollinator garden. There'll be places to sit. We were going to have bees and decided that wasn't a great idea because somebody could be bitten by our bees and it could cause us problems. There'll be paths.
That's stung.
Yeah.
Pardon me. Me, I'm all the time, but believe that. And so it's really a very simple park that people could just enjoy in town. And even somebody who isn't that mobile could be there and enjoy it. It wasn't going to be anything fancy. And we looked at it for a long time. Thanks to all the hard work by Frank and Charlie, they walked it. Frank laid out the park. If you don't know, it's on Huns Lake Road between Mark Lagos's old house and the Blue House. It's on a piece of land that was donated to the town by somebody where we could have had a Dollar General. I don't know if we would have, but we could have. So this is lovely. The entryway will be on Huns Lake Road because there's an old entryway that we can use. We'll save some of the trees, but it's going to be very simple and I think
The
very lovely.
entryway is going to be on Huns Lake Road?
Yeah.
No, it's going to be on, I'm sorry, 82. I
Right.
misspoke. I'm very sorry. So where are we? First, I have to thank both Gail Bonteque, who was beyond generous giving us money to start, and also Bruce Listman, who has contributed to helping us plan and has really been one of the founding people who started this park. He lives in Bengal. Since we're working through the Historical Society, we'll have signs about the history of the town. If we ever get enough money, we'll have the pavilion on the history of the town. And we're going to start, now that we have some money, we're going to start. Frank and Charlie have already been working on getting us a permit onto 82, so we will start by building the parking lot. It's not going to be paved or anything. It will probably be dirt and gravel. And also excavating the wetlands. It's a very wetland area over there. But excavating it for our amphibian pond, that way we will have fill for the rest of the area.
Did we need DEC
Smart.
approval to excavate?
No, we don't need, Charlie has, and Charlie really knows all of this. Charlie says we don't need any EC approval. Charlie had, the water's been tested, all of that work's been done, although I do think there's a permit that Charlie is working on. So I've spoken to Jane, we'll start with the RFPs for somebody who can do the parking lot and the excavation, and that's sort of where we are. But to start, to get the initial permit, to get into the parking lot,
Right.
we need a motion from the town, that the town owns the property, and they're, you know, it's their property. And it's been drafted. I don't know if anyone has any questions, having seen this. I mean, in time, we are going to have to raise more money. We're going to look for grants. There are state grants to build many of these things.
What's the total budget?
We don't quite have it, but my guess is it's probably going to cost about $250,000 when
And
we're done.
we already have more than 100, what did she give, 120?
150.
50, right.
She's funded 50, but she's already given that. And so, you know, if we go slowly, Julia has been very helpful. And if we go slowly, we'll go in phases, and we'll build as we have the money.
Right.
And the more, and what's interesting is, I think the more you do, the easier it is to get grants. Once you start,
Right.
when they look at this sort of area, they say, oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. But the more we have, and that's why, and after we dig out the pond, Frank will tell you where we want to go from there. Will you? I'm going to use up my 3 minutes. We'll probably do some of the trails.
Well,
And-
not,
Yeah, go, sorry.
not to talk longer than I really want, but in regards to the permits, we have been in contact with the DEC and also Soil and Water Conservation District for the excavating of that amphibian pool. It seems like we do not need a permit to do that. And as far as soil and water conservation, they will offer us some help, I guess, once we get to that point. Maybe even the point of arranging actually someone to do it for us. So that would be great. That's not a guarantee. And as far as everything else, well, you'll see on that sheet there that, you know, we have our walkways plan, we have pollinator gardens plan, we have birdhouses already in possession, that we plan on putting at least 25 birdhouses up on that property.
Did you start the birdhouses like 4 years ago?
Well, we started and put some up just to show faith that
Right.
this is what we want to do. But we have in possession, and there's really no sense in putting those birdhouses up because we'll be do a lot of excavating, moving around, so whatever birds start to nest, we can kind of destroy their habitat, you know, a little bit.
What are you going to use for the surface of the pathways?
Right now, we're going to probably put an item 4 base and a cinder topping on it. We'll have some areas that may be, or we're going to try to make them handicap accessible from the parking lot, and you can see there's like a little boardwalk over that pond. But the rest of it's going to be very difficult, next to impossible, to make the whole area handicap accessible. And we chose to put the pond in that particular spot because that is the wetland. The other side of that is actually fertile ground, and there's an area around a natural spring that we plan to enhance and form a stream down into the pond. And there's a lot of things, and if there's any other questions, we do get together, so you're all invited to come and hang out with us.
We have some deed restrictions on the property. We're not allowed to build any buildings, but we got permission to put in a gazebo, and we can put in the...
Exactly right.
Yeah.
That's as far, unfortunately, we don't have restroom facilities there. Maybe in the future, we could team up with Superior Sanitation or another and have a porta pot put in an area. Our big goal right now is working with the State Highway Department to get, and we have verbal approval on that. We have to put in an apron along the highway, which we're hoping that we can get the town to help us on that. And that would be very, very helpful. And as far as the driveway, the parking lot area, we'll probably excavate that out to a point, put a base down, and, a heavy base down, and put a cinder topping on that also. And we'll plan on having parking for, what did we say, 10 cars?
It's going to be small.
It'd be a very small area. And I think that's about it.
I was going to
Sounds
just
great.
mention something. If need be, I think we can work with the trust agreement that when the town got it, to amend it, like for the pavilion or something.
Yeah, well, we have good connections, so. I just want to say that I don't know, I have such a sweet spot in my heart for this project, and we did the rec, you know, it's a huge project, all hands on deck, amazing outcome. And this is like our little secret garden, and I love it. I love that, you know, you guys have been incredible. There is a lot of love going into this little pocket park that's going to be just a little gem in Bengal, and I'm very grateful to you. I'm very grateful to our donor. You know, this could have just been, well, I don't think it ever could have been a Dollar General because of the wetlands.
I don't either, but it was still, it sort of hung over the community.
But what it could have been just this scruffy piece of land that sat there forever, and it isn't. It's going to be a beautiful little contemplative spot. So I'm very excited, and I'm also very grateful to you guys.
Well, thank you for that.
Thank you.
But it is a very, very interesting piece of property because it does have a natural spring that holds water. Last summer, there was, you know, it was greatly reduced, but again, it's back up to full capacity. And I think, I see bigger plans than even we can imagine at this point. And thank you for letting us do
But what's so great is it's just been organic, you know, and it will.
Thanks for letting us work with you. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, by the way, you can see our little meadow, and that's where we're gonna do, it's not really, I wouldn't call it a pollinator garden, because that's different. It's gonna be a native plant meadow. Now, they're very hard to put in and maintain, but we'll do it in pieces like everything else.
Well,
Well,
thank you.
thank you,
Thanks.
thank you.
Can I
Oh,
ask a
yeah,
question?
Nathan has a, Frank, wait, Nathan has a question.
The split rail fence that's along Huns Lake, is it just along the road,
No.
or would it be the perimeter of
Actually,
the property?
the split rail fence, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that, is going to be a horse fence. At
Okay.
the moment, we're gonna just put it on the Huns Lake side
Yep.
with one small
I saw that.
walkway
Yeah, so you can
access
come in.
on that part.
With
We're
the,
not encouraging at all parking
Right.
along
Right.
Huns Lake
okay.
roadside, but just in case someone wants to
Walk in.
continue and walk through,
Yeah.
because actually that area, it'll be a little bit more interesting.
Do you think we could have, like at some point, have a, I don't know if it would be a contest or just be, I don't know what the right word is, but where people can make birdhouses, we can get like,
We would, that
That
would
would be
be,
great.
yeah, that'd be great.
I think it would be, I mean, that would be a way to draw
Sure,
people in
sure.
and,
The rec department, get the rec department and them together. I think that'd be a really good project. A project, not a contest.
yeah, I couldn't find the right word.
Well, I'll let you guys duke that
Yeah.
out. We'll accept anybody that wants to make a birdhouse.
Okay, I think we could have
And
some fun with
cherish
That's
that.
a brilliant idea. And
Yeah.
Kathy Spears has painted birdhouses that were done years ago that
Yeah.
she's been saving.
Yes.
Oh,
I think
great.
we could have fun with that and draw some, maybe some kids in even, so.
I think we probably have accumulated, there's about 10 of them in our garage. And accumulated over 50 birdhouses that, as time goes on, we'll probably put them on.
Have you discussed with Julia having a fundraiser specifically to raise money?
No,
Not yet. We wanted to
we
go
have not.
further. We
Yeah.
need to be
It ha-
further along. People can see what we have,
Sure.
what we're doing.
Okay.
And then we'll talk to Julia, who's great at fundraising.
yeah, she's been-
Unbelievable.
It's been very helpful to us.
Great.
But you know, it's not going to be big and fancy.
Sure.
It's going to be
Even that takes money.
hopefully well done. Yeah, it does take money.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So on that note, I make a motion to approve the design for Burdick Park completed by Wagner Hudson and to authorize me to sign the necessary documents for the driveway application to New York State DOT that will improve the park's access entrance to DOT standards. I need a second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye. Okay. Oh, boy. Okay. We're going to introduce another local law, and Bob will explain why we need to fast-track this law. Bob will explain why we need to do that. This is the law on short-term rentals, local law number 4. And we've been working on this for a long time, and there were a lot of details to flush out, and then I think it got sidelined for a while because we were dealing with other local laws. But we've come up against a hard deadline, so we're going to introduce it, set a special meeting to have the public hearing, which will be, do I have to make a motion to do that now?
Yes.
Okay, to make a motion to have the special hearing will be on Monday, April 7th, which is the same day as, or the same night as our town board workshop. So Bob, do you want to go into
Do a
this?
second on that motion, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
All right, so as Wendy said, really last fall, I think, or maybe even last summer, I forget when the discussions were first getting off the ground, the town board started to consider the adoption of a local law covering short-term rentals. This would include things like Airbnb, VRBO, and so forth. The county also is active in this. They have a hotel tax law that covers these units, this activity. We got involved in other matters late in the year. And then taking this law up again early this year, we saw that the state had adopted its own law regarding registration of short-term rentals, which will, to a large degree, preempt what the town intends to do, unless the town adopts its law before the effective date of the state law, which is April 20th. And we would much rather manage this particular activity at a local level rather than have it having the home rule powers taken away by the state. So this is an initial proposal, and admittedly it may not be perfect, but it can be amended afterwards. The key is that it has to be adopted before April 20th. And the adoption process involves first introducing the law tonight, which I expect the town board will do, and then it has to sit for a period of at least 10 days, and we'll set a hearing after the 10-day period, and it can be adopted after that time. Do you want me to get into some of the specifics of the law, Wendy?
I would ask you to do that.
Yeah, okay. So,
We believe we have 55 short-term rentals already in town. Is that the right number?
That was the last,
At last
the
count?
county reported to us a year ago, and that was the data, that was the extent of the data that they could provide.
Yeah, they wouldn't provide
Right.
addresses, but what we want to do is make sure, because this is a revenue for people, we want to make sure that people who have already invested in having these short-term rentals, that they don't lose their income. So they'll be the first ones who can apply for permits and keep their businesses going. That was important to us. So that's all I want to say.
All right, there is a little bit of tension with short-term rentals in terms of the housing stock. It can be a wonderful thing in terms of providing some income to property owners and help people cover their expenses and taxes and so forth. But it can also take away from our housing stock, in particular the affordable housing stock, which we're just trying to supplement through the ADU law that the town board recently adopted. So the town's approach is to have a registry of short-term rentals. Not an intention to deprive the existing people who are legally operating now. But the idea would be to limit the total number of short-term rental units in the town, so as to protect our housing stock for residents and for the community. The units are going to be considered as either a principal or an accessory residential use, either principal use or accessory to a single-family residence. The permits would be issued to an owner of the property who's the permit holder. The owner could have more than one short-term residence unit, and he could have units on separate properties if they wanted. But one requirement is that there be somebody available, either the owner themselves or some agent locally who is available to respond on 1 hour's notice at any time in the event of some emergency or problem arising at the STR unit. Let's see, what else? The law intends to be flexible in terms of where the accessory unit, the short-term STR unit would be located. Might be located, for example, within the principal residence. If somebody has a bedroom or something that they rent out, or it could be in an accessory structure. There are requirements, for fire and safety. The units would be subject to inspection by the building inspector. Let's see, what other...
There's a compliance code, there's penalty definitions.
Yeah.
All kinds of safety measures that are required. Displaying of the permit, the house number, occupancy restrictions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all in there.
Parking space,
Yep.
Parking.
waste removal.
Yep.
And it's permitted either as a principal use or as an accessory use to the principal single-family residential unit in any district.
The number of guests is limited, capped?
Yes, I think we do.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
variable based
Yeah.
on configurations.
Right.
So those are kind of some of the highlights.
Nathan will put this up on the website, and Rita Mary will have copies at her office for people to take home and study so they can be well-versed on it.
And we want to encourage people who are short-term rental owners already to really look into this law because it affects them.
Well, we need to figure out a way to get this information to everybody. I mean, there's the newsletter, there's,
Right.
but, I wonder if we should even do, since we don't know who they are because the Granicus wouldn't tell us,
Right.
I'd hate to do a mailing.
The county will, I think I heard that the county will tell us once we adopt
Okay,
the local law.
Yes.
okay, because
And-
then we should mail, well,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
It
in
is
terms of
Yeah.
registering, preference is to be given to the people who are currently registered with the county.
Well, they have to, because we have to do enforcement.
Yeah, yeah.
We have to
yeah.
tell them, and so, I don't, that was one of the questions I had about this, because I don't know if we, it doesn't make sense to put it in the law, but, because it feels like it would be a separate action of some behavior, but if we do adopt this law, and someone doesn't know about it, and we do get from the county the people that are on that list,
Mhm.
do they have a period of time that they have to get the permit?
Yes, 90 days.
It is?
Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
So.
They have
as soon
there's
as
a
we get
90-day
that-
window that they would be given preference.
And as soon as we get that information from the county, we'll do a mailing from here.
We can notify
We should,
them.
because they have 90 days.
We have to, yeah, yeah.
We have to.
Okay, so-
Certified, return receipt requested, something like that, so we know that they got it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And just to clarify, we have no pricing set yet, right? We will do that.
We haven't, I don't think we've set the pricing yet.
We haven't set a fee, but it would be a fee per unit.
Right.
And when the, when the board moves to adopt the law, in that resolution, we can include a fee. You can be giving consideration to what you think would be an appropriate fee.
And those fees are gonna, we're gonna need those. We may even
Mhm.
hire somebody on a very part-time basis to be doing all the enforcement.
Yep.
Depending on, because I think Don even has said he may, maybe a little bit much.
Yep.
So the fees may help us cover that.
Definitely.
Okay, so just some procedural aspects about the adoption. This is an amendment to the zoning code. It is, so we are classifying it as a type 1 action for secret purposes. And one of the documents that is to be approved today is the short form, or the long form EAF Part 1, which I just circulated. And this just sort of basically explains the nature of the action that the board's taking or would be taking in adopting this law. We're not including any particular physical environmental aspects because we're not building anything initially. But this law will also have to be circulated to the planning board for its recommendation,
And the
and
county.
also to the county under 239M of the general municipal law, together with the short form EAF.
And the 6 adjoining towns.
And the adjoining towns, yes, thank you. Yep.
Oi, that all has to happen before April 20th?
Before our hearing.
Before the hearing.
So we have to tell
April
people where
7th.
this is on an expedited schedule.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's usually not a problem. The planning board should meet and consider it at the end of this month, and the county planning is generally very responsive.
And the towns can either respond or not, we just have to make the effort.
Towns don't have to require,
Yeah.
or have to respond, they just.
We just need to inform them.
Yeah, they won't care.
Yep.
And they
Well,
send
most of them already
Most of them have them
this-
anyway.
Have them already.
That's right.
We're a little bit behind the 8 ball.
Yes.
so. Okay.
Maybe they'll throw a party for us.
I-
Today we've joined.
I doubt it.
So we need a good copy of that one too, right?
Yeah, I can get you one in Word.
Okay,
The one
thank
I
you.
sent out to those.
So is this resolution
Okay.
3A? 3A, right?
Yeah.
It's resolution 3A, it's the introduction.
Yeah,
Can I do it?
please do.
So I make a motion to adopt Resolution 3A of 2025, which is to introduce proposed local law number 4 for the year of 2025, amending Chapter 164 of the Town Code to establish rules and regulations for short-term rental accommodations, also known as STR. So I'll read the opening of this. At a meeting of the Town Board of the Town of Stanford, Town Board held at the Town of Stanford Town Hall on the 13th of March, 2025 at 7:54 p.m. Town Supervisor Wendy Burton called the meeting to order, and she's seconded by Councilperson.
You called.
Well, you're
the meeting
moving
to
it.
order.
I'm moving it, so
Right,
I'm making the motion, seconded by
Wendy Burton.
Wendy Burton. Move the following resolution. Whereas a proposed local law has been prepared to amend the town's zoning code to provide rules and regulations for short-term rental accommodations, both a principal and an accessory use in all districts, for an introduction pursuant to the New York State Municipal Home Rule Law, Section 20, and eventual adoption pursuant to Chapter 164, Article 11 of the Town Code, and Sections 264 and 265 of the New York State Town Law. And whereas the State of New York has adopted an act to amend the real property law in relation to short-term residential rental of private dwellings in certain municipalities, and which will preclude a municipality from creating its own short-term residential rental unit registry after the effective date of such act on April 20th, 2025. And whereas this proposed local law contemplates the creation of a local registry, and the town board therefore wishes to enact this local law prior to the effective date of the state statute in order to preserve its local control of registration of short-term rentals. And whereas adoption of the proposed local law is a type 1 action pursuant to New York State Environmental Quality Review Act and number 6 New York CRR Part 1617.4. And whereas the proposed action will not require permits and approvals for any local, regional, or state agencies other than the town board prior to adoption of the proposed local law, and therefore coordinated seeker review is not required. And whereas the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development is required to review the proposed zoning amendment pursuant to GML 23M, and this is the review, and this review is considered an advisory opinion under seeker, and therefore the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development is not an involved agency under seeker, and therefore not eligible to serve as lead agency in this action. And whereas pursuant to Section 16456 of the Town Code, the proposed local law must be submitted to the Town Planning Board for report and recommendation thereon, and this review is considered an advisory opinion under seeker, and therefore the Planning Board is not an involved agency under seeker, and therefore not eligible to serve as lead agency in this action. Now therefore be it resolved that the following proposed local law is hereby introduced to be known as proposed local number 4 of 2025, entitled "A Local Law Amending Chapter 164 of the Town Code to Establish Rules and Regulations for Short-Term Rental Accommodations," and then it has the law itself.
Thank you.
And then at the end, there are some further
there's gonna be-
resolutions.
Yep. And further be it resolved pursuant to the applicable standards of the seeker regulations contained in 6 NYC RR Part 617, the town board hereby declares itself lead agency for purposes of seeker in this type 1 action. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby adopts and authorizes circulation of a copy of Part 1 of the full EAF, the Environmental Assessment Form, a copy of which is annexed here too pursuant to the requirements set forth in 6 NYCRR Part 617. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes Supervisor Wendy Burton to refer the proposed local law to the Stanford Planning Board for its report and recommendation pursuant to Section 164-56 of the Town Code. And be it further resolved that the town board hereby authorizes Supervisor Wendy Burton to refer the proposed local law to the Dutchess County Department of Planning and Development pursuant to New York General Municipal Law 239-M. Excuse me. And be it further resolved that a public hearing be held in relation to the proposed local law as set forth in a form of notice hereinafter provided, at which parties in interest and citizens shall have an opinion to be heard, to be held at the town hall on April 9th, 2020.
April 7th.
7th, sorry, 2025 at 7 o'clock, and that notice of said meeting shall be published in the official newspaper of general circulation and the town of Stanford by the town clerk at least 5 days before such hearing, and that such notice shall be in the following form, and then it has the notice of the public hearing for the local law.
Great.
Wendy Burton,
Yes.
Judy Dakota absent, Eric Hames,
Yes.
Nathan LaVertue,
Yes.
Betty Secor.
Yes.
Great. We have three policies to approve. The bloodborne pathogens, which Carrie actually wrote last year, and somehow we failed to get it to the board. And hazard communication, that's one policy. Right,
I think
Janie, or is that
there's
two?
two.
It's
That's
two.
2 policies.
Yep.
And the hazard communication policy and the workplace violence, that's not
That's
to.
3.
Right, that's not to have workplace violence. We are not going to read those at this meeting. They will be on file in Rita's office and in my office. All of you have read them? Okay, then,
Presuming they haven't changed from year to year.
yeah,
Yeah.
they have not.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to approve the bloodborne pathogens policy.
Second.
All in favor?
I make a motion to approve the hazard communications policy.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I make a motion to approve the workplace violence policy.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And lastly, we were mandated by the state to actually have a freedom of information law policy. We had our own procedure for 100 years, and it's worked just fine. But we needed to have a policy, so Jane wrote us a policy. And you've all seen it?
Yep.
Yes.
So I would like to make a motion
Very
to
good.
also approve the freedom of information law policy.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Rita Mary Bell, our town clerk, has requested that we raise our dog seizure fees, which haven't been raised in
Quite a long time.
quite a long time. They have been, this is for first, second, and third offense.
Yes.
Yeah? So it had been $25, $50, and $100 if you kept letting your dog run around without a leash, unattended. And she has asked that we raise the fees to $36, $60, and $120, which are commensurate with other town fees.
I thought it was 30, 60, 120.
30, 60, 120.
Oh, not 36. I had 36.
$30, $60, $120.
My bad.
Yeah,
Thank
36
you.
is weird.
30, I thought 36 was
I
weird,
know.
but it was like, yeah,
It
she
would be
wants
30 or
36.
35, maybe 40.
Let's make it 35, 50. Okay, 30, 60, 120.
Yeah, that's
So I
better.
make a motion to raise the dog seizure fees.
I'll second it.
Is there any discussion?
Sounds like a good idea.
All in favor?
Aye.
We did the whole HVAC system in the building, and very, very glad we got that taken care of. But we realized to our chagrin that we had not taken care of the new basement, which is where our records are kept, and poor Patty Knapp freezes down there during the winter, and then sweats down there in the summer. And she's such a trooper that she didn't bother to mention this to us till recently, when she had to bring records up because it was too cold to work in the basement. So we sent out for 4 bids, we got 2, and I don't have that piece of paper.
I do.
What I would like to do is, we initially got bids to have 2 units installed in that room, and it's not inexpensive. We only got 2 bids, 2 proposals back from the 4 places that we asked. And Fox Air came in at $14,950 with no contingencies. Bocchini came in with $18,290 with contingencies. And what I would like to recommend to the board is we start off with Fox Air and have them install 1 split, which would cost $7,000. Help! I have to do my math again.
What's the total?
Half of $14,950.
7,495.
$7,475. 75.
So what I would like to do is start off with 1 split and see if that takes care of Patty. And if it doesn't, then we'll go back for a second one at the same cost. So that's my recommendation. And we can discuss it, obviously. Before I make a motion, does anybody have anything to say?
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. Start with 1. It's half the cost. And do we think that 1 will sufficiently heat and cool the whole area, or?
Well, I'm actually most concerned about the area where Patty sits.
And that's where we'd put the unit?
Well, they would,
No?
they can't put it right where she sits. It
Okay.
would go at one end of the room, and the other would go at the other end of the room. I suppose unless we talked to them and said we want to start with 1, I mean, I don't think it's set in stone where it will go, Janie, is it? So all of that can be decided.
So are we thinking of just doing this in 2 phases, where we do the first split now and maybe the next split next year?
Only if she needs it.
Only if she needs it.
What I'm
Okay.
trying to do is mitigate the cost if we can.
No, I get it.
And if we can't, then we won't.
No, it makes sense to me. We could do it in phases.
Yeah.
And if she's happy with the 1, then no need for the second.
Right.
Another thing too, keeping the temperature in a better spot will help preserve the records.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
That is for sure.
So you made the motion,
I did?
yes?
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So this is for 1 Fox, from Fox Air, we'll start with 1 split at $74.75.
Yes,
Okay. Did you vote, Eve?
he did.
Yes. Okay.
Did I vote?
He voted.
I seconded the motion,
She
but we
did.
haven't voted on it yet.
I thought we just.
Yeah.
We did.
Sorry.
We did, that's why
I
you
did
said.
vote.
Well, because I'm still reading, I'm just, they're very different proposals, that's why. And so I'm still, even though I was seconding it, I was still just looking at it to make sure there wasn't anything that was questionable, but aye.
Okay. You hadn't voted yet.
I thought I thought you heard him say it.
Okay, I'm not blaming you, I just was right. Okay, phew. I make a motion to appoint John Abb to the Historical Preservation Committee as per Kathy Spears' request.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Did everybody get a chance to read the minutes, or do you need till next month?
I can't believe I didn't send them.
I did read them.
I'm so sorry.
I
It's
thought you had
okay.
some. Oh, yeah, I got a draft of them,
Well,
that's
the
what I
meat- The
did.
meat of it is the.
The meat of it is the local laws.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The first page or
While you were
2 is,
doing whatever you were doing, so.
they look fine to me.
So I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'm going to abstain because I didn't get a chance to read them. I was out of the room.
And you had the draft.
And I had the draft, but Lord knows I can't vote on the draft.
It's true, but if something changed.
Okay, so everybody's in favor except Wendy who's abstaining.
I'm not rejecting you, Rita.
Just abstaining, I understand.
Yeah, you shouldn't approve it if you haven't read it.
That's what I did.
I apologize if I didn't send them.
Not a problem.
When I get those things done, I just want to get them.
I make a motion to approve abstract number 3 for the month of March. General fund spent $70,687.42. The highway, $73,001.21. Bengal Lights was $1,011.98. The ambulance, as always, was $62,500, and escrow was $376.25.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then my last order of business is I make a motion, Nathan and I had a chance to meet with Andrew Ellis, who was the ZBA's recommendation to fill the vacancy, and I was incredibly impressed with him. He's knowledgeable, he's had wonderful experience, and he's an attorney, and he just seems very even-handed and very much wanting to be engaged. So, I mean, he is married, I don't mean engaged in that.
Yeah,
Engaged in the zoning board.
In town work, yes.
That's right.
So I make that motion to appoint Andrew to the ZBA.
second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Terrific, they'll be very happy. And now, I make a motion to open the second privilege of the floor. All of you were so chatty during the first one, I thought maybe you needed to, what?
Motion.
I do, she told me I needed a motion to open privilege of the floor.
No, you don't need a motion.
Oh, for heaven's sakes.
No.
I'm going home now.
I think we go
Yeah.
over this discussion every month,
No, we
like
don't
it
need a motion
changes.
open.
I open privilege of the floor. Does anyone have anything they care to share? Okay, I close privilege of the floor.
Don't have to do that.
Are there any high school students that need their hours signed off?
I don't think so.
Lucy.
Not in this group.
Okay, then I make, yes.
Ask a quick question. How many units do you have as Airbnbs in town? Or is that going to be the law?
Bye, Patrick.
Yes, we're gonna cap
Thank
it.
you.
Right now, you could have as many as the market would bear.
Oh, I just wondered if you knew the number, but I'll read it.
We think we have about,
We
well,
think
the county tells us that we have
55.
something, 55.
But that was last year.
But where are we going to cap it?
What, that is the cap.
No, I
At
think it was,
55.
I think it was less than 55.
That's the cap,
We
Judy.
put some
Oh,
gross.
that's what I
15.
didn't understand. What we have is where we're staying.
Yeah, and we might have
I thought it was
50,
45
we're
or
gonna go up
something.
to, well, there were all, yeah, it's capped at
I
55.
think it was less, because we wanted to have some ability to grow.
We're not going to build anything in Burdick Park.
Hell no. Okay, I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Yay.
All in favor?
Aye.
You could live in one of the birdhouses.
This was the best
I
meeting.
found no privilege of the floor.